Hi, you are very, very welcome to this session today, in which I plan to see if I can do a dashboard in 20 minutes. I don't know if I will be able to or not, but I'm going to have a go. And then with the 10 minutes or so that's left, what I plan to do is tell you a little bit about my Take the Lift program, which is starting in the first week of next month. So let us kick off straight away with my dashboard challenge here. All right. So what I have here is I have a whole set of data. Now, this is not a small set, okay? You can see there it goes down to a nice juicy 28,000 rows. And what I want to end up with when I'm finished is something that looks like this, okay? Dashboard analysis, and I basically want it to be kind of fully interactive, etc. So that won't be exactly like that, but it's going to be a bit like that. Now, in the interests of kind of making life a little bit easier for myself, I have, in the spirit of Jamie Oliver and all those chefs who always seem to have, here I prepared earlier, I have some of the work done already. Okay, so I already have some of the work done here. So I'm going to begin with creating two pivot tables, and my metrics for this, just to say, I want to show the top 10 and bottom 10 sales of products, numbers and charts for that, analyzed by country and by year, and able to see the changes from year to year. So those are my metrics for this particular dashboard. Start with the sales data, go up to table design, summarize the pivot table on a new worksheet, which is here. Now, what I'm going to do then is I'm basically going to take my product name into rows. I'm going to drag my sales amount into values, and I'm going to put year in here. Now, I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to filter this down so that I just have the top 10, because I just want the top 10. Click OK. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to format this for a currency, and I'm going to use euros. Okay. Now, once I've got this done, basically what I'm going to do is I'm now going to give this a name, and I'm going to click up here, and I'm going to call it, let's say, top 10. Okay. So I'm just up here in my pivot table analyze. I'm going to call this top 10 products. You'll see in a minute why this is useful. When I've got this done, I'm going to go over here. Okay, and I'm just going to also fit my column width. What I'm going to do now is I'm now going to use this as the basis for my bottom 10. So I go here to my row labels, value filters, top 10, and just basically change this to the bottom 10 items. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. And I have the year here as well. The other thing then I want to do is add a slicer to this. Okay, so I click on pivot table, but before that I come back to this one, pivot table analyze, and I'm just going to call it bottom 10 products. Okay. So, and then you'll see in a minute why I'm doing this. So I click here and then go here and I go to slicer. I'm going to go slicer by sales territory name here, and then we'll have a list of names. Now, what I want to do is I basically want to change the slicer so it's connected to both of them. So I click on my slicer, and I'm going to actually just change the coloring of it here as well. And I'm going to go to slicer, report connections, and then see there I have got my bottom 10 products and top 10 products. All right, so there's some of the older ones that I have there, and then I click OK. And why is this? So that when I come here, there you go. The two of them are plugged into it. I'm going to do that straight away, and I'm just going to remove that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm actually just going to start setting up my dashboard. So I'm going to go into new dashboard here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a drop down for year. So go to data, data validation. And as it happens, I'm going to choose list. Now, I already have my list set up on the sheet down here called lists. So I use F3 to call it up. There's years, and I click OK. Okay, and if I click here, you see the years come up. And I'm also just going to add a little style up here, then Control C, Control V, best invention ever. And I'm just going to call this, let's say, current, and I'm going to call this previous. Okay, and just do a little format painter. Get this here. Now I'm going to come back to my sheet 1, which I'm going to rename to calculations. Okay, this one. And I click here, Control C, go to my new dashboard, Control V. Oh, what's happened here? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the slicer, and I want it to be going kind of horizontal rather than vertically. Slicer, and I change my columns, and then I just resize it and have it up here, nice and tidy, and just resize it. Okay, I could possibly pull that over a bit there, but I'm not going to get too hung up on that now. I want to refine it later on. Now, the other thing I want to do then is got my top 10 products here. So what I want to do now is I want to pull in from my pivot table. So I just go equals, go down to my calculations, and I click on this one here. And I just use F4 to knock it down to there. Click on this one, and then I'm just going to drag it down. Now, I'm also realized that I just want to leave a little bit of space for a year as well. Widen my column fractionally. I might just hit a year in here. Right align that. Not my favorite thing of all times, I have to say now. There we go, leave the grand total. Okay, so I'm going to have the year here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go equals, let's say one of these years here, F4 to lock it. Okay, and if I click up here, for example, there's 2005 and so on. And then I'm going to come to this one, and let's say I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's say equals what I have up here. And just F4 to lock it again. And let's say I might make this one 2006, this one 2005. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically kind of pull in the data, but I'm going to use a thing called the get pivot function, which I always think is a great big jawbreaker of a yoke. So I just go equals into my calculations, and I just click here. Now, when I do, this great big humdinger appears. I press enter or gulp, press enter. And what I'm going to do then is I need to adjust this. Okay, so click up here on this one. Now, as a rule of thumb, I'm going to say to you, don't touch that. Don't touch that. Basically, field names, don't touch it. All right. So I then come down to item, and what I'm going to do is basically replace item with what I have in here. I'll just use my F4 to lock the column. And then I'm going to replace my year down here. You got to remember that you're going to replace item with this one and just use F4 again, let's say, to lock it. And then I just, now isn't that annoying that it won't keep the formatting? And let's say I just drag that down again as well. Okay. Now I then basically need to do the same thing there with my 2005. So I just go equals into my calculations and just choose, like I could choose the same one again if I want to. It doesn't really make much difference because I'm going to tweak the formula accordingly. And then click up on this one. Again, don't touch sales amount pivot tables. Back to this one here. They always are hard code this one into it. This one. Okay, and then down to my year. Now for this time, I want to lock the year to this one. And then I copy it down. Okay, how are we doing for time? Keep in mind it. Okay, and then I just use my little auto sum here. Gives me my two auto sums. Now the next thing I want to do is just show the difference. The way I'm going to show the difference is, and I'm going to add an if error at the end. I'm going to go to equal, say over my brackets. Let's say this one minus this one divided by this one. Okay. When it comes up divided by 0, I just wrap my blanky function of if error and put in comma 0, and then I'm just going to format that as a percentage. Okay, it comes up like so. Now, the other thing that I want to do with this one is I want to put conditional formatting on it. Okay, basically put my little arrows on it. So I click here, go to my conditional formatting, and I go to icon sets, and I'm going to choose this one. And then I condition one again, down to my manage rules. And this is not going to be kind of madly scientific or anything, but you'll get the general idea. Go to edit rule. And I'm going to change this to number because I know when I've done it with percentage, it's always kind of been a bit, hasn't always played ball. So I'm going to say basically If it's greater than, for example, let's say 100%, and that would be spectacular growth figures, okay? And let's say this one is going to be, let's say, well, that one, sorry, these are all percentages, 0.5, this one here. So basically going to say when the value is greater than 100%, you know, kind of make it green. If it's between 50 and 100%, make it orange. And if it's less than that, basically kind of make it red. Click OK, apply, and OK. And they're all less than this at this point. Now I can come up here to this one and just expand this a little bit as well. And if I click on this one, as I go through each of these in turn, you see there it starts to change. The figures start to change automatically. Okay. Now the last bit then, as I'm just going to do a little bit of my format painter to fill that in, all right, and I might just widen my column fractionally as well so you can see it. Always a bit of tweaking on these bits to get them to fit tightly, and I'm just going to format that as that one as well. Got it all done with that percentage too. And the next thing I want to do then is basically show these figures as a chart. Okay, so I'll highlight this here, insert, and then I'm going to see if it recommends a chart to me. Yep, the charts are generally pretty good. I might just try this one, click OK. And again, you're up against the kind of the real estate thing of getting things to fit in nice and tidily. Let's say chart title, top 10 products. Now I could do as well, let's say this one. Again, I'm kind of going to this one here. I could also just come down here and let's see if we do the color for me. It will, yeah. Not so much that one now. See, I'm looking for the transparency of it here. So what I could do is actually kind of tweak the transparency a bit if I wanted to give it like so. Okay. I'm just going to even this up a little bit. Now at this point, I've got my top half done. I might just make that font a little bit smaller. There we go. Now, what I want to do now is I'm now going to need to do something for the bottom 10. So I'm keeping you at the time. I've got about 7 minutes. And I'm going to use Control D. Control D basically just copies and pastes it. There we go. Oops, there we go. Again. There we go. So I want to do the bottom one. So I'm just going to come up to this one. Go to this one here. I'm going to call this the bottom 10 products. So I'm going to do the same thing again here. Okay, so I could just go equals, and let's say calculations. This one, and drag it down. I need to drag it down a bit more. Oh yeah, and what I forgot to do, of course, was to fix this to the columns, and then drag it down here. Drag it down a bit more. Yeah, there we go. Bold. I mean, I'll be distracted now by small things. Now, when I come up here then to this one, I'm just going to do this one down here. There we go. Of course, these two are linked, so they're going to do the same thing. And then I just go equals. Now, one other small thing I just want to mention to you is that I use the get pivot function table here. But if for some reason you find that's not available, what you need to do is just click here, analyze. And if you click up here beside your options, you need to make sure there's a tick on that box that says generate get pivot data. Okay. Fun fact, this one, finished version, which won't be the same, of course. So equals into my calculations, choose this one. And again, I just do the same thing again, call this up. Don't touch this or this. And bike wash dissolver, click it to this one. And then for the year then as well, I'll get into this one, whoops, this one. Yeah. F4 again. Okay. And we'll just drag it down a bit. There we go. Okay. And let's see. Yeah, because I think this was 2006. So I could change it up here. Maybe let's say to the current year is 2007. Yeah, and that's 2005. I'll just do my currency format again. Okay. Now for the same thing here, just go equals to my calculations, And I'm just picking the same one again, because what you want to do is just basically tweak this formula. And don't touch it. Remember, you can change the items. That's probably a good way to remember it. And then for the year, then just choose this one and F4 again. Okay, and I'll just put the currency on that. And again, I think there was this one. So if I, for example, I change that, say the current year is 2006, 2005, or change 2007, and this one is 2006. Okay, the figures change automatically. Now I'm going to do the same thing now with my percentages. And let's say what I'm going to do is just go equals bracket. So let's say what's going to be is this one minus this one divided by this one. Oh, it gives me divided by 0. Wrap it in my blanky function. I'll just format that to percentage. Copy it down. Okay. And what I might do is see if I can do the format painter. There we go. All right. So I can use the format painter just to copy that across. Now, and let me just get my grand total here. Yeah, there we go. Just make that a percentage as well. Now, the last bit then is that let's say I just want to get the years here. Just want to make a chart here. So insert, go up here to my chart. And let's see, I might just go for this one again. Same chart. Drag it down, line it up, and just highlight this again. I kind of discovered this, which kind of sounds like kind of quite idiotic, but I kind of discovered this almost by accident. I was doing something else. And chart title, change that to bottom 10 products. So, and I might just change click on this one as well and just go to the color. Yeah, and the transparency comes up there then. So now when I come up here, so we're now kind of starting to look, take shape at this point. So I can do now if I come along here, there's Australia. I might just do one last thing here, just that add maybe a nice, no. Okay. Now I just pressed F4 as well there, so that kind of copies just the last thing you've done. So I know it kind of could do with a bit further tweaking, but for example, click Australia with the numbers, Canada, France, Germany, Kingdom, United States. And then I can also just use the drop down, let's say, to get my years, 2006, change this to 2005. Okay, I think bang on, I have just done it. Okay, great stuff. All right, so my son, any quick questions or anybody want to pop something in the chat on that before I talk a little bit about spend the last 10 minutes talking about the course. I hope plan to start in early next month. No, as far so good?
All good.
All maintaining a discrete silence. Okay. Probably just can't wait to go home and try that with your own data. Fun facts with it. All right. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about the course that I plan to start next month. Okay. Now, one of the things that we actually do in that course, right, is we learn about the building blocks that you have in that. So we learn about charts, you learn about pivot tables, you learn about slicers, you learn about all the calculations, you learn about drop down. So that's all, everything pretty much that I just covered there is also covered in this course that I'm actually kind of talking about here. So, and again, I just want to spend people have time is precious, so I want to look at it. So now this one, what we're going to cover in this 10 minutes, okay? This is just about if this course is for you, if you're interested, okay? What the course will cover, what platforms I'm using, the structure, your investment, any Q&A. Okay. So this is for people really, it's going to run for 18 weeks. So it's kind of for people who like are kind of really want to kind of get, stuck into this. You want to up your Excel game, okay? You've decided that once and for all, this is going to be the year where, you get to grips with Excel. You prefer an instructor-led training. Some people do, some people, they love the online stuff. They can do it when they want to, which is great. But some people just, an instructor, if you are somebody for whom an instructor works better, this is probably for you. If you show up every week and do the homework, I see it over and over again. The people who show up every week and do the homework, they don't even have to get the homework perfect, but if they attempt the homework, they're the people, who are going to get the most out of it. You want to learn how to use Excel shortcuts. You want to have a variety of tools at your fingertips. And you're asked to do more and more in Excel, and you don't even know where to start. And I see a lot of this. In more and more organizations, people say, we need to put it into Excel. We need to get more out of our data. And quite often, you won't even know where to start unless you have kind of reasonably good Excel skills. A little bit about me. I've published some books, Excel Survival Kit, Getting Transformed Data, How to Create Great Reports in Word, Great Reports in Excel, Track Your Training Records, latest edition, and the latest one I've done, Pivot Tables Explained, just a little bit with that. So what the course will cover, okay, first part, reviewing introduction. So, if you know a bit about Excel, great. If you kind of are quite new to Excel, we start from the beginning. We're going to look at a variety of techniques for VLOOKUPs, which is how you link data, how you summarize your data with a pivot table, including presenting them in PowerPoint, using charts, conditional formatting. You saw I did it there with the icons, the arrows going up and down, etc. And if functions, okay. I showed you the if error function there as well, but we use other ones. We also use some ifs functions, learn about those. Data validation, you saw there how I created the drop-down list. Macros, Power Query, Excel superpower. If you have to cleanse data, remove columns, etc., very handy to have that one. And then that last bit, creating dashboards, and an introduction to Power BI. We come to that at the end. And then, of course, a wrap-up. Okay. So why should you join this course? So the benefits to you are easy to fit around your current work, one evening a week. So it's 90 minutes, one evening a week. Okay. There's no need to leave home. You can sit there in your pajamas, should you so wish. Okay. I'm available to help by email between sessions. I'm very happy to do so. The homework helps consolidate the learning. And again, as I say to everyone about the homework, it's either success or learning. Either it'll work, which is brilliant, or you're going to learn from doing it. All sessions are recorded and lifetime access is given. I limit the numbers to 15 because I want to make sure I can give everybody good attention. Okay. Benefits work-wise, Excel is a superpower. Every office, and not just offices, use Excel. It's been described recently on LinkedIn as the second best tool for practically everything, right? And I'm always seeing these things on LinkedIn that says, oh, are you sick of Excel? Here's something that will replace it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those over the years. And my favorite example is a big ad for something that says it's going to replace Excel spreadsheets. And you know what's in the comments? Excel users discussing which of they prefer, VLOOKUPs or index match. And then there's other people saying, don't bother with all those, use XLOOKUP, which is also fantastic. More opportunities for promotion to earn more and learn the techniques and shortcuts that can cut hours off your working week. Makes you valuable to yourself, valuable on your CV, valuable in the office. Learn to feel competent and confident with Excel. I personally believe that confidence is built on competence, and competence comes from practice. Right? As I like to say, if we're all in the matrix and we could all be plugged into a chair and you could say at the end, like Keanu Reeves, I know Kung Fu or I know Excel, that would be great. But until that time, I'm afraid it is slogging along. So what people have said about the course, a lot of people, kind of when they've stuck with it, they've learned loads. They're able to apply it when they went back to their working environment afterwards. And they also kind of, try and make it fun and entertaining as well, right? The platforms I used is delivered on Zoom and GiraffePad. So it'll be all done on Zoom. I use a learning platform called GiraffePad. All the materials are stored there. In other words, if you can't remember where they are, you don't have to root through all your emails. Just go there, find it, and there you have it. Recordings of the sessions, files, and everything else. You'll be given an introduction to all those. All that will be included in it, and sessions are recorded and lifetime access. Structure of it, 90-minute sessions. The moment I'm doing it Tuesday evenings, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. I ask people to come up with some kind of a learning project or aim at the beginning. Sessions are done on Zoom, and again, if you're not familiar with Zoom, although, you know, given the last 2 years, most of us will have some familiarity with Zoom. Too bad. Hopefully the plan is to start at the beginning of April, and there's going to be 3 times a month, because I kind of found that people just, you know, basically it's 3 weeks, take a break, 3 weeks, take a break. It varies a bit, but that's roughly the structure. There'll be homework between sessions, and sessions being recorded. So the regular price is kind of €450 for 18 weeks. For an investment in something that you will, I'd imagine, repeat, you know, you'll get that money back, I say, within months, just in time, etc., etc. First come, first served. I have 14 more people. Now, as of this morning, that should actually be 13 because somebody else has signed up this morning. If you go to at least 3 sessions and don't learn at least 2 things about Excel, all right, I'll happily give you your money back. And I'm going to put the, I'm going to email you this list or this link in, let's say, after the session. If you want to have a look at it, look at the sales page and get the details, that is fine. Now, I just want to see, has anybody got any questions at this point that they want to ask?
All good, I think.
All good so far? Okay, I'm just going to put the link there in the chat if anybody wants to have a look at it. And I have to say, I've done it with 3 minutes. What time zone? The Dublin, Edinburgh time zone. Yeah. That'll be, yeah, Dublin, Edinburgh time zone. So that'll be, yeah, whatever I think it's probably, I'm going to say GMT, but I know there's the daylight saving time, etc. And I've done that with 2 minutes to go, which I'm impressed with. All right, lovely people. If there's no other questions, we will wrap it up for today. And thank you very much. That recording should be going out to you early next week because my lovely Zita, who does the admin, is usually off on Fridays. So it should be going to you early next week at the latest. But I will also email you the link if you want to have a look. Okay. All right then. I'll stop the recording.